Okay, I am hoping that I am now live. Didn't know that I am. I hope you guys, I don't know if you guys are on Facebook in the group or on my page. If you could let me know. If you're on YouTube, you should have no problems, but it is raining like crazy and I just finally got a signal. So you're gonna have to bear with me, but we are going to do this thing. And if I don't know how to, I can't tell Facebook that I'm not, if it's not working. Okay, so it's on my page. I don't know why. And then I gotta tell the group if it's not working. Sorry, bear with me. It'll be worth it, I promise. Okay, I'm in. All right, it looks like I'm working. So, welcome, guys. So my whole setup trying to get organized was a little bit behind because of the rain dilemma. So thank you for bearing with me. It's life. I always had kids and just stuff. So, okay. So a couple of days ago, I did the first part of this, which was the elephant in the classroom, as we'll call it. And I had run across, after researching in loco parentis, so if you guys are taking notes, something that you really need to understand. Because hi Jan, that's going to be, so we talk about root issues, like we don't need any more legislation, we don't need a parent bill of rights, we don't need anything else codified, because we can see by people not knowing that we elect, one, with the education policy, and which is, I guarantee you 100% why Governor Youngkin endorsed the people that he did. Guys, all of this, to make it make sense, even Dominion Power. Look up virginialearns.org and see who's driving what our children learn. That's where the power, okay, guys? That's where Dominion comes in. Guys, it's not just, they don't just care about power. Is that you look, Big Pharma. Like, why is Big Pharma giving all these politicians money? Like, why is Advancix, the chemical plant out in Hopewell, where someone who I love dearly works, giving money to Carrie Coiner? It is, the money is that you have to think why. Why is Big Pharma? Why are the hospitals, HCA? Why are, Genworth or, whoever giving the establishment the money? VirginiaLearns.org, because they're determining the skills they need for their workforce for our children. That's where the money comes in. And that's the piece that everybody's missing. They're like, oh my God, look who's giving everybody money. But nope, guys, we have got to stop and think why. What is the end? To what extent? What is the end game of this? Why are they doing this? Because we are so far behind, and right now we are playing whack-a-mole. And especially over here, books. I love my book people, but guys, the books, the percentage of children that are exposed to them, as detrimental as they are, I'm a survivor of grooming through child sexually explicit material. But the percentage, we've got people that are jab. The jab is horrific. Guess what? Your kids don't have to have it. If you really want to fight social emotional learning, okay, is what you need to start talking about. Because 100% of children are getting the jab to their brain. Imagine, and people are like, oh, it's just about bullying. Let's just do this. Even if it was, imagine putting chemo into the water supply for some who may need it. Think about what that would do. You may help some, you may kill some, and then if it, it's that whole like, let's test the whole community approach. Like, you'd be like, hell no. You're going to test me for something I don't need or I don't have. Okay. So you're going to get false positives. You're going to get false negatives. So, so instead, is that this is where it gets frustrating, is that nobody wants to focus or understand what social emotional learning is. And that's not the point of this. I'm just telling you the reason why the people that the governor endorsed, that he was so proud on with Kayleigh McEnany on Fox News, it made me want to vomit. Literally admitting, I got my people in. That's called a totalitarian dictatorship, by the way. When you run for government, not to represent the people that elected you, if they did, but to back up your governor's agenda, that's called a dictatorship, guys. Okay? So just to let you know where we are, and the sad thing is, the biggest win of this week is the fact that McPike beat Guzman. Can I get a hallelujah? So that moved the needle a little bit closer. The fact that Guzman is going to be kept out of the Senate and the General Assembly. Can I get a round of applause? Crazy Pants Guzman. Because you can deal with a McPike. Now, a Guzman, a Hashmi, a Foy, you can't. So that was the win of the week. But, so the point of this is the teacher on child abuse cesspool in this state. And if you're not watching in this state of Virginia, if you went on a dive, you'd find the same thing, because I found stuff everywhere. And so you'll have to go, this is your first one, you can go back to the one 2 days ago that says breaking news. And that was the first dive. And so just to show y'all where I found this, random, God guides me, gal, is I was researching, I honestly can't even tell you what, and I came across this Emporia News, hundreds of Virginia teachers have lost licenses over sexual misconduct. Now, I went through this in bigger detail in the first show, and I've got a lot more, so I'm not up here all night. So what this linked to, and let me see if I can post it. Because when you find stuff like this, that they've linked it all together, this is what I call actual journalism. Actual, because they link things. It's not opinion with a blurb. And it links to, in the last, think about this, in the last 20 years, 280 teachers have lost their licenses for felony sex crimes. Okay? Now consider that, lost their license. Okay? So when we talk about the iceberg, so the tip of the iceberg out of the water would be lost their license. Under that, you've got charges. And under that, you've got ones that were found not guilty because these are children. How are you going to get children to testify in court? It is disgusting. And then you've got 86% of children do not report sex abuse. So, law of numbers, whoever is there, do I have a statistician in here, can tell us that if in 20 years only 280 lost their license, because how many have you heard about this year? I know between sex abuse, preschool abuse, physical assault on 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, teacher harassment. Not to mention, I'm going to show y'all the people talking in chats with their names are blocked out about Oh, well, that goes on here. I've heard about that. Oh, you should hear what I hear about in the teacher workroom. It's mind-boggling. Um, and so where this links, and I don't know why it's not, it's, if anybody, actually, it's in the YouTube is the link for this, but I will post it, for you guys. But you can look it up. Emporia News, hundreds of teachers. Google. I use Google. I Google everything, guys. I don't use a dark browser. And what it takes you to, this first link, is this. And this is from the VDOE. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Okay. So, you'll see here, these are the 200 since 2000. Because, guys, because of our wonderful lawmakers, the Virginia Department of Education only has to log the ones who actually lost their license. Not even the ones that were found guilty. Not even the charges. They only have to record the ones that lost their license. So this is sex crimes with minors, inappropriate, which is different than felonies. Does that seem odd to you? That sex crimes with minors and felonies should be different? We'll get to that in a second. So for this one, you can filter by year, I think. Maybe not. No, because it's going by your division. Okay. So as you can see, this is not a Loudoun County, Fairfax, Prince William problem. Okay. This is a Bristol problem, Buena Vista, Campbell, Carroll. And I'm going to show you guys examples of these. Charlottesville, everybody. This isn't everybody, but it is especially a Chesterfield, Fairfax, Loudoun problem. Chesterfield being the one, because, and this is why we are the spawn of Satan, is because we are the huge, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I had no idea how big Chesterfield was. You have 63,000 kids with 69 and rising schools that aren't being built. Think about that. But the Colonial Beach, Colonial Heights, which is also part of Chesterfield County, Culpeper, Cumberland. Now, these are just lost licenses. Fairfax, of course, goes on forever, guys. Fairfax. Falls Church, fuck year. Just lost licenses, guys. And this is not including this year. Frederick, Galax, Gloucester. This is everybody. Everybody. Hanover, sorry, you're not in Mayberry. Henrico. Henrico is bad too. King William, Lee, Loudoun, Lynchburg City, Manassas, Montgomery. Big problem there. I went digging for these NAs, and I'll get to the really shady part of this. And so, so this one here is not a misdemeanor contributing to the delinquency of a minor based on alleged sexual relationships with 17-year-old child. Misdemeanor. Okay? Founded case of child sex abuse and physical neglect and inappropriate online communication with students under her care. Not a felony. Okay? Just to show you all problems. Inappropriate and sexual relationship with student. Not a felony. Pattern of inappropriate and unprofessional conduct with student over social media. Not a felony. Sexual comments and communications. If it's enough for them to pull their license, it's a felony. Okay, so then let's jump over to felonies. Felony forcible sodomy on a 4-year-old. Where was that? Roanoke. Felony enticement coercion of individual under 18 to engage in sexual activity based on graphic sexual emails. That's called grooming in Albemarle. Felony child pornography, Alexandria. Felony sex assault. Alleged sexual battery of a 13-year-old. Guys, it is still a capital punishment. It is still codified that rape of a child under 13 is a capital offense, by the way. So when we talk about law that we ignore and don't ignore, raping a child under 13 is a capital offense. 8 counts taking indecent liberties with a child while in a custodial or supervisory relationship. That is extremely important because, guys, okay, I'm going to jump off real quick while that's there. So this is the thing about in loco parentis. Okay. Look up Blackstone's law in loco parentis. Okay, first of all. In loco parentis was originally for when compulsory education came in. And let me see if I can find. I think I'm sitting on. I have to store. My desk is not big enough. Okay, so in loco parentis was never meant, never, ever, ever, ever meant to be, because it is a legal term meaning giving guardianship, whether they take it from you, and that would be the courts, or you give it guardianship freely over. Okay, and this is case law on in loco parentis. Okay, guys, they had going back years and years and years. Case law on in loco parentis. And but see, here's the problem within loco parentis, as you see right here, back up on the screen, is that with a child while in a custodial or supervisory relationship. Let me pull up this picture real quick. If you guys don't know what CAPTA is, it is the Child Abuse Protection, having brain fart at the moment. It happens, but you need to know about CAPTA. So let me pull up. Okay. Here's the thing about CAPTA, which is federal law, so it doesn't matter what the state does. Okay? Child sex abuse. Okay? CAPTA. Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act. Under this law, a perpetrator of child sex abuse is defined as a parent or caretaker Okay, sorry. It is just not my day. I felt my entire system get pulled to the left, and because I'm on a third floor, I have to run an Ethernet cord, which my family knows because I put bells on it. And anyway, so I'm back. Thank you for sticking with me. So let's go back to CAPTA. Okay, so CAPTA. Child sex abuse. Perpetrator of child sex abuse is defined a parent or caretaker who is responsible for the child's welfare. Okay. The employment, use, persuasion, inducement, enticement, coercion of any child or assist any other person to engage in any sexually explicit conduct or any simulation, depiction of such conduct of rape, and in cases of caretaker or other interfamilial relationship, statutory rape, molestation, prostitution, or other form of sexual exploitation of children or incest with children. Why this is important is because they have a choice. This is what I tell them. You can either pull in loco parentis because they don't have a right to our children in the first place. Okay? Or you're going to, by law, face the consequences of a parent. Because these cases, guys, what were not felonies, inappropriate relationship with 4 female students, texts of sexual natures. Okay? If you were sending texts or having an inappropriate relationship with your child, but they can't have it both ways. That's the most important thing. Founded case of child abuse neglect based on sexual misconduct with a student. Okay? Because in the real world, if a parent did that, they would what? Have the child removed. And then, guys, we get into the fuzzy territory of the problem with teachers, counselors, etc., who are doing these offenses are what? Mandated reporters. So when you have people standing in as the relationship that we did not give consensually because in loco parentis it's unconstitutional, okay, is that these should be things that you should be writing down and contacting your elected officials about. You need to remove in loco parentis because did you know, based on, and I will in the group, I will upload everything, that in loco parentis was never meant to mean it is a legal term. Because let me read this. This is called the fundamental case for parental rights, which I'll get into real quick. Is that disputes about parental rights are ultimately disputes about authority. Either child rearing authority fundamentally resides in the political community, which partially delegates that authority to parents, which is where we are now. Okay, or parental authority is natural, pre-political, based on the nature of the parent-child relationship. Okay, that's what you have to talk about. This is the relationship. Okay, is that we have moral obligations, personal obligations, through gestation, birthing them, adopting them. Is that simply birthing them is like, I mean, we're literally living in Handmaid's Tale. Is that we birth them, and that, like, the fact that Moms for Liberty put that Hitler quote up, and that why they took it down, I don't know. Like, because it's absolutely the truth. But is that parenting does not end gestation, human gestation versus physical gestation does not end. Okay. Is that you have to, we have obligations. Okay. And I've gone over this before, rights and responsibilities, but they have no responsibility over the outcome, which is called fiduciary duty. You can look up in loco parentis fiduciary duty. And there's law articles out there, years old. But what we're up against and why I'm pointing this out is from the narrative from the left, like this one. How to fight the right's moral panic over parental rights. Why would we have a moral panic? Can you imagine? What is the quote? I don't remember which founding father said, is that our Constitution is solely for what? A moral people. Okay. And we're seeing that now. Go back to the founding documents. If something doesn't make sense to you, go back to the founding documents. If something doesn't make sense to you, you can't argue that doesn't make any sense. Go back to the founding documents. Go back to the foundation of this country. Oh, you don't like it? So sorry, go somewhere else. Because until we start acknowledging the foundation of this nation, nope. No. The founding documents say this. Nope. No. The founding documents say this. The Federalist Papers say this. The Bill of Rights say this. Oh, and then if it's not there, then you go to something called common law, which is what our law is based off of. And, then you go to Supreme Court cases. And that's a different type of law. So you have natural law, common law, and then the Supreme Court law, which is what common law is, because English, that's how we got our foundation. They don't have a constitution, we do. Is that throughout series of court cases, common law is derived from the Supreme Court making series of cases that build precedent. Anyway, so that's what we're up against. Is that the political theory of invoking parental rights. Invoking parental rights. Think about the lunacy of that first. Invoking parental rights by Republicans and conservatives falls apart at several levels. First, if parents have the right to demand that their children not wear masks, this is a masking one. Freedom to kill people is one of these lunatic dialogue. Let's see. But where this comes from, guys, is this is one of those things, is that this doesn't just come out of nowhere. This isn't just appearing like poof. And of course, I'm not going to hold this up because the rain tonight's great. Is if you don't know about the UN Declaration on Child Rights, you need to. Why? Okay, here we go. Sorry. Oh, God. My computer. All right, anyway. If everybody wants to, I'm just going to Google it real quick. UN Child Rights Deck. Because all of this stuff, good God. Whew. All right. So, the UN Child... My computer is so behind. Is that's where all of this lunacy is coming from. Is that they have the children have the rights, not the parents, and it is their duty to protect them from us. Part 1. For the purposes of the present convention, a child means every human being below the age of 18 years unless the law applicable to the child is attained earlier. Guys, you have got to force them to pull out of the UN first. And anybody that's like, she's talking about the UN again. What a conspiracy theorist. Shut up. Okay, shut up. Shall take all appropriate measures to ensure that the child is protected against all forms of discrimination and punishment on the basis of status, activities, expressed beliefs, or beliefs of the child's parents, legal guardians, or family members. So not only has the nation, the globe, has claimed our children. That's where this stuff is coming from. So when you hear the madness, ask them, so which article of the UN are you reciting from? Because all this stuff comes from somewhere. In all actions concerning children, whether undertaken by public or private social welfare institution, courts of law, administrative authorities, or legislative bodies, the best interests of the child shall be primary consideration. Okay? UNICEF Child Rights Convention. You have to understand that to understand the lunacy coming out. Like this, I showed this before. But so this is what they're coming. This is what they're coming from. And then sitting here in front of me, I have, let's see, where is it? In one of my court cases. This one's called Against Parental Rights. This article advances an interpretive account of parental rights and builds a normative case against them. This is Samantha Godwin right here. Against parental rights. This would be, guys, this is coming from Yale. Yale. So our lawyers are putting these documents out. Okay. 2013, Yale Center for Law. Okay. So let's talk about it. Let's see what she says. I actually have a piece of it. Parents exercise tremendous power over their children. While many aspects of parents are highly politicized, parental power over children is largely immune from criticism in mainstream political and legal discourse. Yet, anyone with liberal or egalitarian political commitments would likely regard it as intolerable for any adult to possess legal powers over another adult comparable to those of parents' exercise over their children. As a result, if parental rights over children are to be rendered consistent with liberal and egalitarian values, they require special compelling justification. No ma'am. No ma'am. But, and I'm not going to read this because I will get angry and I will, and then it goes, this is children's welfare, education quality. Because this, guys, this is where they're coming from. Is that they're saying that we have to have our rights taken from us because as we continue to acknowledge the law and opt our children out under the law of the state of Virginia that nobody will acknowledge, school boards I work with. They look at it and they're like, I work with you people. Why are you not telling this info? Here's the law. Here's the federal law. Is that the day is going to come if we don't stand up, we're opting your children out. Just like homeschooling. There's an article, let's see, I'm going to pull it up under my slow ass computer. That it talks about homeschooling is a abolitionist like totalitarian movement because you are depriving your children of this wealth of knowledge and you are the totalitarian dictator for enforcing your values, beliefs, not the world's values and beliefs, yours and only yours. And this is the comeback is that I don't own my child. Okay, is that I'm not claiming ownership of my child, is that that's the number one thing. Nobody owns another human because that's called what? Slavery. Okay, my child is not a slave to me. It is my duty, my job as a parent to raise them, and this is the foundation of the country, in the manner that I see fit. If I was abusing my children, like the teachers are abusing, okay, then the state would come in and take them. Is that parental rights are not free. This is another thing that you're going to hear a lot, is parental rights are, is a signal, is a sign, is just for child abuse, is why we're advocating for parental rights. First of all, I'm not advocating for them to be codified. I'm advocating for people to acknowledge they exist and they are codified. They are, not only do they not need to be codified because they're natural, pre-political, is that the reason they have to be is because the narrative is now, as you just read, is that if we advocate for them, it is because we want to abuse them, because we want to instill our morals, not a global Bill Gates set of morals, ours. But this brain, I can't handle it. Let's see, where's the one? Okay, but next I want to show you guys something before we get into this that I found today that is extremely disturbing. Okay, you ready? So this is a bill from 2014. Herring, a Democrat, proposed legislation. This would have been, I don't have the bill number, but you can see she actually wanted, again, we have somebody trying to do something good. She wanted to add that, again, read here. Each local department and local school division shall adopt a written interagency agreement as a protocol for investigating child abuse and neglect reports against school personnel. Notice that against school personnel, okay? That was already in the code. And she added, and reports of sexual abuse of a child that require coordination between the local department in the local school division to facilitate investigation of the complaint against school personnel. Okay? Reports against school personnel and reports of sexual abuse of a child. Okay? Now, the problem is when the House amendment, this is what happens in legislation, guys. The House amendment completely removed not only what she added, but the original against school personnel. Okay? And then, who's on the House? That committee? Puller, Hanger, Wagner, McDougall, Barker, Stewart, Stotch, Normand, Black, Reeves, Favola, Alexander, Cosgrove, Wexton, Lewis. What is that date? It would be HB 683 from the 2014 session. Yeah. The date would have been January 30th of 2014. But Herring was the delegate, and yes. Guys, the timing of all of this, too, is that once you start understanding education policy, the timing of how all this stuff happened. But I want to bring back who was on that committee that did that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was the Senate committee. Where's the House? Here's the House. Bell. Okay, sorry. This is the committee that deleted all of that. Bell. Robinson. I don't know a lot of I haven't been in politics long enough to know, but I'm guessing that there's probably more than 3 or 4 that are Republicans in here, because it's a screenshot. So it would be 123-14 that these people, the House, did that. And then, again, a unanimous, which I'll get to. So, and then the final filing would be, this is what the Senate committee I just showed you did. So they deleted the entire intent of the bill. And this is the problem with legislation and the crazy B word who wanted to talk to me about my senator who got beat because she can't pass legislation. This is why passing legislation means nothing. Notches on your belt that you pass legislation. Can we just all agree that that dialogue needs to end? I can go back bill after bill after bill after bill about why that narrative, you passed 85 pieces of crappy legislation that was already codified that made our lives terrible, and if it had anything to do with education, you didn't write it and you didn't have any idea what it said. So congratulations, Tara Durant, and whatever crazy bee you sent after me on that one. Crushed you in 5 seconds. Sorry, that narrative has to end. If you write, like Senator Chase, 20 pieces of legislation that were good legislation going up a lunatic Senate, and they all... Sorry, they were good legislation for America, for our children, and for us. Because this is what happens. So then they deleted all of that, and they added this down here. Is that local school divisions, this was already there. But they had to be on the presiding side. Yeah. And like I said, you know, when I posted the picture of the person since blocked me, and I was like, you're a mother. These are mothers, and you're proud of this. And this shows how ignorant education is to Tara Durant. Donovan, I highly doubt. But is that the swamp women, I continuously remind them, you are mothers. Okay? So when they come for the kids, because you took the Pied Piper, Governor Mao, you followed the Pied Piper with his, okay? Remember when they come for your kids, that you did it, and you didn't listen. So, the Senate added this portion, which and then I'm gonna get into the stories. Let's see. Here it is. The Senate, that committee with Reeves in it, added, insert, once such interagency agreement is adopted, the local school division and the local Department of Social Services that are the parties to the interagency agreement shall no longer be required to report annually on the status of the interagency agreement. Therefore, such parties shall only be required to report to the Board of Education and the Board of Social Services when such interagency agreements are substantially modified. So let's take the intent of what could have been a good bill. Not only that, delete what was already part of the codified law, and then add some crazy bureaucratic bullcrap. So the people that wanted to go up, because I worked with Bryce Reeves on education transparency. Okay? So, and you can still email him and ask him if he's forced Ghazala Hashmi and Donovan and Mick Pike and or Peak and them to send that letter to the VDOE requiring them to do an audit of all state school boards to make sure they're following the law, because that was the agreement when we dropped the legislation in the Senate. It's still not done. And he's probably butthurt because I refuse to endorse him, and it's not going to get done. So it's going to take us, because that is an audit of the entire state of Virginia school board to make sure that you're getting the law and the opt-outs that you deserve. And not just you deserve, that you're given, that you're right, because it's codified, it's law. So, on that, crazy lunatic, I feel like right now, I want to jump to, let's see. Let's see. Where is it? Again, if you're on Facebook, I don't know if you want to tell me who you are. If not, they're up at the top at StreamYard. When you see the link, there's a thing that you can click to so that I can see who you are. Laws are not subjective, actually. Federal law, which I've gone over before, Protection of People's Rights Amendment, it is not subjective. It is, you must tell parents. Somebody said the laws are, no, they're not. Good law, is not subjective. Okay. That's why we literally don't need any more law. We need to acknowledge the law that we have. Okay? Federal law, like the Protection of People Rights Amendment, is not subjective. Every school board must, within 30 days prior to asking your children about these 8 things, give you notice. Every school board must notify you of your right to see your child's curriculum. That's not subjective. Well, you know what? I went up against, they said that's what the common, okay, is that you have to, first of all, I don't know what the Commonwealth's attorney has to do with it, is that you have, okay, so Wendell Roberts with Chesterfield, when I knew the law, told me that I had to FOIA. The Virginia Code says that I can see my child's curriculum. He told me to FOIA it when he does the FOIAs. So what you do is, guys, those are civil rights violations. Our web's VAFCF right there in the corner. Go there. We have the links to the AG civil rights violation forms. You have the FedEd civil rights OCR violations. You file on their bar license. You file on their license. You do everything. When they lie to you, please, I don't know who you are, but I want to know, because I managed to crush myself, risk management, the school board, who's clueless, every single person that tried to tell me that I could not opt my child out, and I forced opt-outs for 63,000 children. So you have to, is that if somebody tells you something like that, like the Commonwealth's attorney, file against them. Okay? There's so much law that you don't know about, and they're not going to tell you. I've done 18 shows on all of this. I don't know what it's going to take for people to pay attention. And instead of fighting the books, which we're never going to win, maybe you should know that the reason the exemptions are there is because Alfred Kinsey, in the 70s, 42 states adopted book exemptions because of the research of Alfred Kinsey. How about you go at it from that direction? How did I learn that? Because it didn't make any sense. Why do we still have these exemptions? Where did they come from? Stuff comes from somewhere. And please don't ask me to explain. I have broken apart every division, probably half the divisions in this state. I have proved that fuck here and there, we didn't adopt SEL, lie. Louisa, yes you do. Guys, you have to do the work for the kids yourself. But let me get to the point of this show. Okay. So I went through after seeing the, and here's another good source. Let me see if I can find it. If you don't know about this one. So this is the newest. ednewsva.org/sexual abuse. Sexual abuse, and it is, this is recent too. They must have just started this because it only, just started it. Okay, so this is something to keep up with. Let me find, and then, okay. So, but then it was like, I started looking for all of these different cases that I knew had to be there, but I couldn't find them anywhere. And then you get into the amount of special education children. This is what's so disgusting, is the fact that parents cannot get over themselves and the color of their skin and what gender that they think that they should be when these children being abused at a rampant rate. This would be Chesapeake. Myrick and Lehman say they recently found out their 11-year-old daughter's best friends were allegedly, I always had to put that in, by their teacher at Grassfield Elementary. The teacher's and she'll probably be found not guilty. And she'll probably return to the school, which is what happens. And you'll never know about it. In most cases. I was told that this teacher had a spray bottle of water she would keep in the car, and she would spray these kids in the face with the water bottle when they got too excited. She told me the teacher would squeeze my daughter's mouth and scream in her face. Myrick said a staff member broke the news to her a week ago on the last day of school, claiming she witnessed the abuse. Both girls are non-verbal. And that's Chesapeake. Another one. This is recent too. Court documents. Preschool teacher slapped, spanked, grabbed student's neck. She was allowed back in class. Miraculously, Chesterfield County. Guys, Chesterfield. So everybody, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but this is the problem with Head Start, federal education, federal preschool. Okay, number one. Preschool teacher is accused of spanking special needs students. Chester Early Learning Academy, Head Start. Grabbing them by the neck, back of the neck, pulling them to the floor, and smacking their faces. Lisa Harbalos, a teacher, 12 counts of simple assault. No. They're the guardian role. It's not simple assault. Special education children under the age of 4. Simple assault. Are you kidding me? According to court documents, the teacher's assistant to Harbalos witnessed the physical abuse against 4 separate students on the 29th and 30th after Harbalos became frustrated with the children, according to the documents. The assistant then immediately reported the alleged assaults to the preschool's principal and assistant principal. She also filed a complaint to CPS on December 1st, 2022. The court documents showed. A parent of one of the involved children said the school told her on December 16th that her child was allegedly abused by Harbalos and that Harbalos would be suspended. The next time the parent got an update from the school about the case, Harbalos was approved to return to work on March 7th. Chesterfield County. Upset with the outcome of the investigation, bravo to these parents right here. Went to the police. Went to the police is the problem. That would be a Scott Wyatt bill last session. Again, good intent. But what they deleted because of the school to prison pipeline was any physical, including bodily harm, what did not have to be reported. It could go to the CPS. Did not have to go to the police. It was up to the principals. According to Captain Breeden, the parent's notification was the first time Chesterfield police had ever been made aware of the alleged assaults. They executed a search warrant of Chesterfield Public Schools to secure investigative records into Harbalos that were held by the school district. During their execution of the warrant, police found records of a 5th student who was allegedly physically abused by Harbalos in August, months before the other 4 students. The August incident, the warrant revealed that Harbalos pulled a student's hair and prevented the child from moving by placing her legs over top the children. According to the warrant, the result of the school district's internal investigation into that incident was a reprimand. So here we have 2 principals and whoever was in these documents that allowed her to come back, and this is when it's not simple assault, because you allow someone who abuses children to come back because you reprimanded her by pulling a special needs 4-year-old's hair. You're reprimanded? And then because you allowed her to come back, 5 more children, that makes them complicit in those 12. That's how you have to be in understanding the law. If it doesn't make sense to you, how is she allowed to come back? Think of the Scott Ziegler case in Loudoun, okay? They covered it up, but this case it was a rape, and it led to another rape. That makes everybody that covered it up complicit in the second rape. Essentially, rapists themselves under the law. And then the school district filed a complaint with CPS. Here's the problem with the CPS problem. And this is where, when I say that parents need to get over their feelings about the color of their skin and all of this other stuff, is when CPS is involved, okay, poverty is a crime. Who's that going to target? And that's what I have the first ever shirt I had, children first, common sense second, politics and fear dead last. Whoop! They're failing all of our children. Children first is that there's no stipulation here. Okay? It doesn't matter color, sex, creed, what you want your cisgender, dead name, whatever. Because at the end of the day, when they take your kids because you dead named them or because you refuse to affirm them, because it's coming, and we don't have a governor to support it, to support us, is where are those children going to go? Are they going to go into a loving home? Ghazala Hashmi, Guzman, Dot Heffron, Catherine Haynes, any of your local Looney Tunes school board members who believe in this stuff, ask them at the next school board meeting. You believe in this, but when you want to take my rights because of something that you're doing to my children, where are they going? Where are they going to go when I don't affirm them? Are they going to go into a loving home? Are you going to take them into your home? Are you going to find them a loving home? No, they're going to go into the foster care system. Do you know how disgusting the foster care system is? Most of the time, if they're not out in 6 months, they don't ever come out. And then that's when we get into really scary territory. Is you want to take my children? You can, I'll do another episode on CPS strictly. But that's the problem with social workers in schools. Where's this video? I shared it the other day. Here it is. I'm gonna share this again. I shared it.
Teacher notices and recommends that they
Considering a bill that would send children as young as 12 years old to group homes without the parents' permission.
This will affect every single parent in the state of California. I'll give you an example like this. Your 12-year-old has TikTok, your 12-year-old has a cell phone and social media, and you're not comfortable with the way that he or she is using that social media. You get in a huge fight, you take the phone away, you ground them for a week or two, and they go to school. Well, now the state has inserted these professional individuals, professional people on to public school campuses. And now your child is having a hard day. The teacher notices and recommends that they go get a counseling session. When they're at that session, they they share with this adult who they believe is a trusted adult who's taking care of them. And they share they had a total terrible blowout fight with you and your husband or your partner. They don't want to go home. They don't feel comfortable talking to you. And the professional person asks them if they want to go maybe cool off a couple of days and somewhere off campus and outside of the home.
California is now considering a bill that would send.
Okay. So think about that. When the Commonwealth attorney says to you that the law is subjective, because there's Virginia code that says point blank that your children do not have to go to any counseling, but that you don't want them to. Period. So, and that's from the show I did 2 days ago about what's got the blowtorch, like the law, is that the longer that we continue to allow them to ignore the law, the further the mythical unicorn actually does become a mythical unicorn. But So just to, let's see. Warren County Blast School Board over child abuse claims. Bravo for actually showing up for your kids, Warren County. Fired 2 employees, at Hilda Barber Elementary, in the wake of an investigation into the reported abuse of children by a preschool teacher. School board members heard at their meeting from parents, including one who said the teacher assaulted the 2 children, but other parents expressed concerns about the safety of their own children. Guys, this is why I've said from the beginning we have to fight this together. This is not a school. I mean, school boards have the power to enact law, but this kind of like widespread corruption and panic. I mean, not just panic, but widespread corruption, especially when they're blaming us, and they want to say that we are the abusers. No, and it's everywhere. It's not just big. So here, Grundy, Virginia, this was last year. 16-year-old student sexually abused by a teacher. And the sad thing is that you have to know how, like, research, and it's not going to be, a lot of it is not going to be in the news. You have to find it other places. Here's one. Virginia Beach. Virginia teacher sentenced to prison for the sexual abusing foreign exchange student he hosted. Another one from Chesterfield. This year, okay? This year, March 24th, 2023. Chesterfield dance instructor faces sexual abuse charges. They forgot to mention that the Chesterfield dance, you know how we have like dance schools? This one failed to mention that she was one of the instructors at the Chesterfield Public School Dance Academy. Let's see. Bristol, Virginia. Sex with students at school. That's in Abingdon. He participated in sexual encounters with 2 17-year-old students who were not identified. Heard a complaint from the, guess what, social services. The police said officers heard a complaint from the social services. This is one I found in Style Weekly from, guess what, Chesterfield. About 2007. Okay, this is great. Chesterfield County Schools declined a Reporters' Freedom of Information Act, which they always do, request for such correspondence. Back scratching. I know that we all had those creepy teachers that back rubbed and stuff. Guys, they can't do that. Okay, they couldn't do it then. Several clinical psychologists who deal with sexually abused children say that the frequent and long-running actions of Barber, a former Chesterfield County supervisor, should have been red flagged as potential grooming behavior of a sex offender. So see how logic has changed over time? Not logic, but common sense. What we talk about now is still applicable, even though they don't like to acknowledge the narrative. Instead, Chesterfield County Schools put Barber on a 2-week leave and allowed him return to school after he agreed in a statement to refrain from practicing of letting students scratch his back or shoulders. Less than 2 years later, Barber pled guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts of sexual battery against his teenage stepdaughter. This was just one that when I was looking around. Okay. Oh, Stanton River coach. Let's see, what was the date on this? This would be back in 2011. Bedford. 4 years in prison for having sex with 2 former students. 4 years in prison for 2 students. Virginia Middle School. Oh, this is the May 19th. arrested on porn charges. Fairfax Middle School, 2 felony charges related to possession of porn. Christine Nick, 28-year-old, and guys, this is a girl problem, a cougar, if you will, is a problem than anything. Her LinkedIn account described her as a science teacher at Irving Middle School in Springfield, Virginia. She previously taught at Key Middle School in Franconia. There she is. They got a cyber tip from the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. And they actually, I'm not going to read the whole story, but it was actually registered to a Fairfax County IP address. There's no indication that there are any victims in the Fairfax County Public Schools. I think we're missing the point. Chesapeake parents relieved after police arrest special education teacher. This past August. Bravo, Elizabeth. I will tell you that much. Ma physically abused her 11-year-old daughter, Christina, in the classroom. Grassfield Elementary School. Did I see any physical injuries? No, I did not, Lehman said, but I did see a change in my daughter, so I believe they're true. Guys, that's what I've always said. If your kid is not acting like your kid, you need to figure out why. It was alleged that my daughter, along with other students in the class, was being abused by Miss Janice Ma. My daughter is totally dependent, fully disabled. She cannot talk, she cannot walk, she cannot speak for herself, she cannot defend herself. That is the most profound statement a mother can make. These children cannot defend themselves in schools without their parents. And yet parents constantly contact, you're not allowed in the building? Why would you send them back? Your child cannot defend themselves. Nonverbal. Oh my God. Our family's broken. Our trust in humanity is broken. Our trust in the school system is broken. I would encourage, if you know any of these divisions, have them all reach out to me. Because I would really like to put together an enormous class action suit against the General Assembly, which you can do, the VDOE, the VBOE, Child Protective Services. It's go big or go home time, guys. Loudoun County convicted of assaulting a special I did not pull these up in this. This is just how it happened. And this was, just now, a couple months ago. Julianne Diane Hancher said she was trying to protect the special education student she was accused of assaulting, but a judge didn't believe her. Brooks convicted Hatcher of 2 counts of assault and battery for the assaults, which occurred at Lithridge High School in Aldie on November 11th. She sentenced her to 2 years with all but 4 days suspended. That's what you see when they're actually found guilty. The 16-year-old victim wasn't seriously injured, and Hancher had no prior criminal record. The child is autistic who is nonverbal. The girl who has seizure disorders and needs help eating and using the bathroom and combing her hair. Another Chesterfield student, or Chesterfield teacher. This is Harlow, the second one. Because when they went in for Harlow, they found, when the police investigated CPS, they found that CPS had already had a report on another teacher. On April 14th, police received a referral from CPS that reported a teacher identified Kathleen R. Harlow had assaulted a student at school on April 13th, 2023. Chesterfield police spokesperson wrote in the email, detectives learned of an earlier assault involving the same teacher and a different student. This assault reported occurred. So, same teacher. Police investigated. The detectives learned of an earlier assault by this teacher that CPS did not report the December one to the police, which led to the April one. Okay. What's next? Oh, and then CPS was silent when they were asked questions. Then they were finally not silent, and I'll pull that up. I don't know what that is. Oh, and then I randomly found this one back from 2020 in a Megan's Law. Chesterfield football coach charged with child sex crimes. Manchester High School. Alfred is a physical ed teacher who's a running back coach. Charged with 2 counts of taking indecent liberties with a child in a custodial relationship. Okay? They should all have that attached to it. Let's get out of Chesterfield. How about that? Oh. Loudon was arrested Friday for... When was Friday? Oh, this was back in 2017. Andrew Robinson of Centerville has been charged with 2 counts of indecent liberties by a custodian. Not a custodian. Custodial relationship. Science teacher at Potomac Falls in Sterling. Oh, I was shocked when I found this one. Cosby. Cosby had been, back in 2012, Cosby had been open for what? I don't even know. Brand new. Cosby's substitute teacher arrested for inappropriate relationship with a student. Anna Michelle Walters and charged her with 1 count of taking indecent liberties with a child and 1 count of carnal knowledge. It makes me think of Top Gun when I think of that, which means it's sex, I think. Using fancy terms for stuff, guys, doesn't mean it's not what it is. And here's the thing, is that people will be like, well, she was found not guilty. I don't care. I don't know if she was. But what I'm saying is that if there was enough evidence for the police to file charges against her, I don't care what a judge said. I don't. The investigation began with a former student who is an adult. Okay, guys. It doesn't matter how old they are when the investigation begins. It's how old they were. Guys, even 18-year-old children under the supervision in public schools cannot have sex with teachers. Okay? They're 18, but that's their guardian. It's like their parent. It's like a parent having sex with their 18-year-old child. It's called incest. So that's where we have to get to, is that you can't give consent to incest. You can't give consent to your guardian having sex with you. It's in a parental capacity. Oh, this just came out, guys. I don't know if y'all heard about the convicted Virginia Beach teacher who plotted a school bomb. Turns out that he was also, after he plotted to bomb the school, this winner up here, 20 counts of child pornography. Because originally I had kept reading about the teacher who threatened to bomb the student, and it just turns out that they thought of play.
The EcoFlow Delta 2 is not just a battery.
I can't
It's
do commercials. I'll pull up YouTube if I have to. Here's one of the newest ones too. June 14th, Front Royal, Virginia. Virginia preschool teacher faces child cruelty assault charges. Accused of abusing preschoolers. Kayla Bennett, who taught at Hilda J. Barber Elementary, was charged Monday with 2 federal counts of child cruelty and 5 misdemeanors. Here's the difference, guys, is that so when these people showed up, and which is where we're failing, and when you don't show up, I can guarantee you 100% the reason that her counts are different is because the community showed up for that child.
Anger and frustration pouring out at a recent Warren County School Board meeting. Parents and grandparents of preschoolers upset that a teacher had been suspended for suspected child abuse, but they weren't notified for days. Tyler Wright's 4- and 5-year-olds attend the preschool program at Hilda J. Barber Elementary in Front Royal. He began to hear rumors in early May that his children's teacher had been suddenly suspended. He says he wasn't notified by a school administrator for days.
For days, okay? I don't know if I have any or more of our Chesterfields pulled up. I think I got rid of them all. But I want to bring you back to the fact. How small is Warren? Front Royal, Virginia. We have 63 and growing because of virtual Virginia. Nobody showed up. And so therefore, you have people like Harlow and Harbelow and that will get, what, a week? Instead of, because when you show up and show that you care about these children, it changes things. Consequences happen. Galax, and this is an old one I found. Well, not old, but 2018. Galax teacher arrested for inappropriate relationship with a minor. Were found parked at a boat landing by a night ship. Okay. This would be 2013, Sterling, Virginia. 1 count distribution of child pornography, 2 counts possession of child pornography. Algonquian Elementary in Loudoun County Public Schools. Art teacher. This one is, I found in some random paper. Poplar Tree Elementary, 2 child pornography. That's Fairfax again. 2012. So it's really like, how much more do we have to not know about that you now know about before we do something? Oh, this is the one that Youngkin made a statement on. So Darren Thornton was arrested. Oh, I forgot. This is the one that involves Chesterfield and Fairfax. By law, Chesterfield Police Department had to notify the Fairfax County Public School System of the arrest. It appears the emails sent by the police department bounced back through and were never delivered. So this man they were notified that he had been arrested and sentenced to 5 years of supervised probation. Thornton was placed on administrative leave after a second arrest in 2022 for allegedly soliciting sex online from adults. And then he went to Fairfax, and he was allowed to then become a counselor. Oh, look. A spokesperson at Jillian Balow will be reaching out to schools Friday to remind them of their responsibility to prevent sex offenders from working with children, including mandating reporting. Thanks to Balow. Oh, and then Youngkin. This is an astonishing revelation for there to be a school counselor, middle school counselor, who was arrested on sex solicitation of a minor back in November. So please use this quote and email the governor about this show and the other shows, and then when I eventually write it up. That his, and let me tell you, this is why we push hard to get past this last budget for incremental funding, substantial incremental funding to put the school resource offices back in school Commonwealth. Okay. And then Miaras. I like the rest. I'm absolutely appalled to learn that a convicted sex offender was able to work with youth as a middle school counselor in Fair. Like, see how they like to continuously repeat the word Fairfax and ignore the Chesterfield portion? That's not my psychosis or my paranoia speaking, okay? That's a problem. This was back in teacher arrested over sexy picture message. That's Culpepper. Back in 2020. Sending sexually suggestive social media messages to student charged with communication systems for using for purpose of soliciting. Nothing to do with like child, attempt to solicit a child. 2019, Vienna middle school teacher arrested on child sex abuse charges. He was arrested in El Paso, Texas. I think that's where I found it. Alright, it's going to try to make me pay, I think. Oh, there he is. Matthew Snell. Of Maryland. Taught in Fairfax. Major Crimes Bureau found him in El Paso, Texas. Oh, and just so you know that it's not just sex, physical abuse, emotional abuse. Letting students smoke pot in class, 2019. This would be Henrico. And I found this on Herb. Another idiot ruins it for the rest of us. One teacher is in Henrico County, Virginia. Dominic Louisi, actually letting students blaze in the classroom. So it's not just sex, it's drugs. And then let me see real quick. I'm just gonna, how about this? Where's my stack of cases? All right, so 2017. Loophole allowed school administrator accused of sex abuse to find a job as an assistant principal. A failure by our Virginia Child Protective Service Agency allowed a school administrator accused of sexually abusing a young girl to find a new job as an assistant principal, and investigation by the News I-team. This would be Arlington. Found a new position in Prince George. Zevlin Staten sexually abused a third grade student in 2006. Guys, it's very different, I would say, if you moved like states for this stuff not to be found. But when you move like an hour away and you're hired as an assistant principal, yeah, I love you. Jan sees it as the smoke would affect the other kids in the classroom, including those with asthma. Correct. I see it as, why don't you hand them needles and then you can all safely inject heroin into your arms, which is coming next. Because it's not just the crimes that these teachers, like, I can't tell you how many cocaine possession, is that we talk about, like, ethics and morality. Like, the teachers, okay, if you get possession of heroin as a teacher, okay, that might not be listed on here, but there's a problem. Teachers should worry about drinking and driving, DUIs. Is that when we have teachers who do these kind of things, much less let them smoke it in class, But, so here we go. This is, one allowing. Here's a Carroll teacher arrested for sex offenses against a child. Carroll County High School. Jeff Sexton, 51, of Withville. Indecent liberties while in a custodial or supervisory relationship. Guys, that makes it a felony with a child under 18. Sexton, he at Carroll County okay. Grundy, Virginia, a school teacher in Southwest Virginia, has been arrested on multiple drug charges, including the distribution of controlled substances on school property. When was this? School teacher in Buchanan County, Lisa Kathleen Burns. Let's see, Franklin County teacher charged with 3 counts of sexually abusing a child below the age of 13. This would be Smith is being held. Oh, but then they add this. Some people have come forward, like former student Rachel, voiced support for Smith in her comment, saying he was never her health and PE teacher in middle school. She wrote she never felt uncomfortable around him. This is what happens, guys, is that people come in and support teachers, and they're like, he was a great teacher, and he did this, and they get off for it because of idiots like this that come in and say this stuff. Again, it's not about your feelings. As a coach, he was hard on kids. He wanted them to succeed. He was not the type of person I feel would do something like that. Oh, he was nominated for Teacher of the Year. Therefore, all the evidence against you for sexually abusing children goes out the window. Former teacher charged with indecent liberties turns himself in. Danville. Now, this is Westover Christian Academy, so I just wanted to include some, non-public schools, because they're out there. So this is what happened. They are the victims, they're victim blaming. Which I can tell you, I lived in a family that I finally had to, after 40 years, because I was the scapegoat child, I was victim blamed. It was my fault it happened to me at 6 years old. I was the black sheep. Is that when you do that to children? Because if they come forward and then what really happens to them is then unvalidated and then they're forced to go back into a school system that failed them. This is how bad it is, guys. And then imagine you have to then see that teacher in the school system. Bedford County. Rick Witt was sentenced Tuesday afternoon in Bedford County. 2 teenage victims having sex with 2, I think I did this one before. Here's Lynchburg teacher, part of child sex case. This was back in 2012. The Lynchburg Police Department is now involved in a 30-year-old child sex case after the arrest of a teacher Friday in Portsmouth. No, there is no statute of limitations in those cases. Clarence Sykes, 57, of Chesapeake, with 2 counts of indecent liberties with a minor. Lynchburg police say they have been contacted because of some things that Sykes said during an interview. Then there's this guy. A retired teacher from Western Albemarle High School is accused of soliciting a minor. Deputy posed online as a 13-year-old boy and was contacted by an unknown male. They agreed to meet for a sexual encounter. And so he's a retired teacher who then do this. So then it becomes the 86% under the iceberg, under the water, is that to think that nothing when he was a teacher, it's not possible. And then there's, let's see, Corey Robert Shuck, 43, fourth grade teacher at Venable Elementary School, Charlottesville City. 2 charges of possessing child pornography and 1 count of soliciting child porn. Now this is, I found a site, it's called iheartmyteacher.org. Because I could not find any of these cases. Okay, remember that. Like, spell it out. iheartmyteacher.org. Now these people, now they're not quite on top of the ball, but that's where you find a lot of this stuff. And that's when I decided that there's something very wrong going on here. Because, now see, no, I ran out of blue, so I didn't mind print. But see, it says guilty. But then it has pages of what used to be links, news media links. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But all 8 went nowhere, which meant mainstream media deleted them. Okay. That's why I couldn't find them, because I went to the BDOE spreadsheet and I would be like, okay, Charlottesville 2014, because it says that someone lost their license back then. So it's got to be in the news. Couldn't find anything. Found this site. And yes, iheartmyteacher.org is national. So have fun with that. So this actually has the transcripts, which I can't read because I'm having PTSD. Okay. So, and then we've got 2018. Virginia biology teacher accused of having sex with a minor. 5 felonies in relation. This is Hanover. Miranda Nicole Pauly was a biologist at Patrick Henry High School in Ashland, Virginia. This was in People magazine, by the way. Allegheny County. And yes, I'm going through the ones that people would not think about first. Allegheny County, this was in June 2010. The offenses date back to June 2010. This story ran 2022. A 35-year-old high school teacher in Allegheny County is in jail after being indicted and arrested on dozens of felony charges. Gavin Haynes was arrested Tuesday after being indicted for 31 counts of taking indecent liberties with a child by a person in a custodial or supervisory relationship. This is what they're missing out on. This is what they're missing, is what that implies regarding CAPTA, C-A-P-T-A, federal law. Oh, he was a JV ball coach. The 31 offenses date back to June 2010, when he would have been 21. Middle school teacher in Brunswick County arrested, charged with assaulting student 2 years ago. 8th grade teacher at James S. Russell Middle School, Wilson Taylor IV. 15 other students were present. They were able to confirm that the teacher did in fact strike and or hit this child. Shouting match that turned physical. You guys, here's the thing: is the reason in loco parentis came about was for disciplinary purposes, but this corporal punishment, they don't even use in loco parentis to actually discipline our children. Okay, then there's this guy. This would be Wilson Memorial PE teacher charged with sexually assaulting 1 year ago. This is Fishersville, Virginia, Augusta County. I don't even know what that is. 47-year-old Michael Freeman has been charged with a single count of sexual battery. Oh, he was a girls cross-country coach. Okay, great. Christiansburg, Virginia. Diana X. Cantor, high school teacher, charged with sex with a student. 2010. sir. Northumberland County. Once charges brought against a former substitute teacher after she said she substitute assault what? After the substitute assaulted her 3-year-old son. Northumberland Elementary. He had a frown on his face. When Kelly asked her son what happened, the child said his teacher hurt him and pulled his arm. And then what happened? Watch back the in-school surveillance video of what went on inside the school afternoon. Anyway, the teacher yanked his arm out of socket. 3 months ago, Nottoway County. A Nottoway mother reached out to 8 News for answers after a video surfaced of her son being restrained at school. Pinned him down so that his neck could not go back and forth. You don't take a child down, okay? George Floyd. What they call is prone restraint. Okay, I'm pretty sure that every school division now has like, yes, awful news. Somebody said pretty awful news reports. Right. On I Heart My Teacher. Correct. And then don't forget about, where is it? Oh, I forgot to show y'all Data Wrapper. But we won't, that was in the original show. Oh, don't forget about, no, this is Virginia. If you're in Virginia, ednewsva.org is the most up to date. December 8th, Virginia Beach Public Schools elementary staffer arrested on child porn charges. Former Fauquier County math teacher accused of sexually abusing a child. These are all this year. Former Newport News teacher facing sex crimes charges involving a student. Warwick High School assistant principal arrested accused of sex crimes against children. Virginia school bus driver charged with distributing child porn. Fairfax counselor never placed on supervised probation. That's what we just read. This Henrico case, I can't even read it because it's so disgusting. Let's see. Former Chesterfield teacher charged with sexual assault. School counselor admits to sex with trans student in Virginia district rocked by bathroom raid. Rape. What? Reported on May 21st, not arrested until 6 months later. After Glenn Youngkin was elected governor, and a huge upset, blah, 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 blah. Loudoun County Sheriff Mike Chapman said, I think it's a coincidence. It was actually a very detailed investigation. We had to go back several years. We had to do a lot of interviews. The victim, a biological female, spent 3 years at Freedom High School before graduating. Barrett was a guidance counselor and was assigned to the victim. Okay? Do you see, again, the role of being a mandated reporter? And having the come talk to me. I'm your safe space. Come talk to me. I'm your safe space. You're the mandated reporter, and you also stand in the role of in loco parentis. Okay? You're the parent assaulting a child. Therefore, there's a problem. And then they say they want that they know what's best for our children. Let's see. Oh, this one, I think I actually have the video. This one in Nottoway, if you're in Nottoway, by the way, Tamisha Grimes was in Chesterfield. She was our head DEI equity advisor for 20 years. But this one, there's a video. I'll look at it in 1 second. But here's one, Floyd County. Oh! According to Dr. Jason Dalton was hired in Floyd County. Indecent liberties with a child. Bristol, Virginia, Galax, we went over. Pulaski, teacher accused of inappropriate relationship with a child. Let's see. Roanoke middle school teacher accused of having sex multiple times with a 15-year-old male student is also pregnant. That was 6 years ago. Roanoke also guilty. Thomas Patrick Keelan of Virginia, head of English department at North Cross School, arrested and charged. They found him in Miami for having sex with a child. Roanoke also. Former instructional aide at Roanoke County Public Schools is facing assault and battery charge. A school incident report states the aide grabbed a 4-year-old by the shoulders and the neck. Cave Spring Elementary, May 23rd, 2023. A little over a month ago. Playing on the school playground slide when the instructional aide, Judy Fouts, told him to come down. Another teacher reported Fouts grabbed Lucas by the wrist, then pulled him off the ground from his shoulders and his neck. Let's see. Former teacher convicted of child porn charges. Poplar Tree Elementary, Robert C. Fenn, Fairfax. This is ICE. I found this on the ICE. U.S. Immigration and Customs Information. That's where I found this one. Stafford, Virginia high school basketball coach arrested for sexual misconduct with girl on a bus. Brook Point High School, Stafford County. Touched her inappropriately, sexually explicit. That's called child sex abuse. Okay, we just call it what it is. They were traveling for an away game. Well, thank God he's no longer coaching in Stafford. Thank you, Stafford, for doing that for us. Here's another Stafford. 7th grade teacher's been arrested for inappropriately touching a 12-year-old child in 2016. Stafford. A Northern Virginia teacher convicted of having sexual relationships with students. Erica Lynn Mesa was a teacher and coach at Colonial Forge High School in Stafford. A judge sentenced her to 22 years, all but 3 suspended. To keep going. Jury finds fuck your high school teacher guilty of sex abuse. Kevin Mettinger of Warrenton was found guilty, this would be March 30th, of 4 sex abuse charges stemming from 4 2021 incidents involving a teen whom Mettinger tutored and then hired to help him with household cleaning and other chores. Private tutoring sessions. Raining. It's raining. Can you tell? Warrenton police executed a search warrant. He asked Mettinger 2 to 3 times as to where his phone was before Mettinger led the detective to his phone hidden in a hollow above the door in the basement. Extracted text messages. Let's see. It's the same one. Oh, it's a different one. Fauquier County Middle School teacher charged with child sex abuse. This would be November 29, 2022. 4 counts of felony sexual child abuse in connection with a series of alleged 2018s involving a male student. This would be Caitlin Renee Grimley, a former math teacher at Fauquier Cedar Lee Middle School, in connection with allegations made by the victim, who was either 13 or 14 at the time, court records show. Employed as a math teacher. Lives in Warrenton. $5,000 unsecured bond. Goes on, and I'm not, it goes, like, I have stacks. Okay, so. Kayla Bennett, Front Royal. I think we talked about this one. Warrenton County Public Schools suspended Bennett and teaching assistant who worked in the classroom. A school board member heartbroken and furious. That's would be a wonderful change connected to what we're used to. 2 Frederick County school teachers arrested for inappropriate contact with students. Frederick County, Virginia. Emily Walker, 23, a PE and basketball coach at Frederick County Middle School, had inappropriate contact with a 12-year-old on more than one occasion. Police say they saw hundreds of texts between Walker and the student and took place over a course of several weeks in escalation in expectation of physical contact. That's her. Matthew Geyer, a teacher's aide at Shenandoah High School, had a consensual sexual encounter with a 16-year-old male student after the two met through social media months prior. Met the student off property at the child's home where the sexual contact was made between the two. This one I found on that I Heart My Teachers. Kimberly Ann Dietz Hampton. Inappropriate communications with a student. Asbury Elementary School, Hampton City. Alright, Tidewater area. Here you go. York. 1 year ago. Teacher in York has been accused of sexually abusing a student under her care. According to the York-Pocosin Sheriff, Kristen McAllister has been charged with 2 counts of indecent liberties by a custodian and 2 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. English teacher at Tab High School. Report of unprofessional conduct. But they at least immediately reported it to the sheriff's office. York. 3 months ago, York County. Teacher at Yorktown Elementary School has been arrested. I don't know. I'll be right back. On March 24th, said they received a report that a teacher at Yorktown Elementary had assaulted a student. 2 alleged incidences, one on March 24th and one on the 21st. School division says it's conducting an internal investigation. Stacey Ames, 53. She's a kindergarten teacher. Sheriff's office said they conducted a thorough investigation which led them to arrest and charge the teacher, Stacey Ames, on 2 counts of simple assault. Released on an unsecured bond. The victim is a 5-year-old. Picked the child up off the ground by her arms and then threw her 2 to 3 feet. But the child wasn't injured. The first incident was witnessed by someone other than the teacher that initially reported the assault, but that he didn't know the first incident wasn't reported immediately after it happened. Virginia Beach. In August of last year, 55-year-old teacher was sentenced to 5 years in prison for sexually abusing an exchange student. I think I did this one. Convicted bomb plotter. We went over that with the foreign charges. Kyle Norro, Virginia Beach, arrested 2014. Teacher's assistant and softball coach at Princess Anne High School. Charged with 3 felony offenses in the investigation of an online relationship with a minor. Guilty. Michael David Shanklin, Virginia Beach. 2012. Teacher has been arrested after police said he hit a student on her buttocks multiple times with a belt. With a belt. Spanking children with a belt. This was a month ago. Virginia Beach School cafeteria assistant among 2 charged in child sex assault case. 2 members, I think, I went over this one the other night. We want to make you aware that a staff member was arrested by the Portsmouth Police Department today on charges related to possession of child pornography. At this time, there is nothing to indicate any Virginia Beach County public school students are involved. As a result, the staff member, of course, was placed on administrative leave. Kempsville High staffer arrested for assault has the charge withdrawn 4 months ago. Melissa George confirmed the arrest, stating the staff member was taken into custody for domestic simple assault. Has charge withdrawn. I'm not going to have time to get into that. Newport News. Woodside High School teacher charged with taking indecent liberties with a student. 27 Newport News teacher has been arrested after an investigation based on allegations that she was involved in an inappropriate relationship with a student. Kara Alexander. found nude photographs on his phone of her. Bus monitor assaulted student with special needs in Virginia. That's Newport News. Civil complaint obtained by Crisis in the Classroom, CITC. The 9-year-old, who was referred to as ZM, was physically abused, assaulted, and verbally ridiculed while coming home from the Center for Autism in Kiln Creek Elementary School in September. Struck him in the face before telling him twice that she wished she could whip his tail. Again, special education. Let's see. Newport News. Crittenden Middle School teacher charged with assault on student. That would be the 2019. The incident happened during school hours. Taylor says Rand wanted her son to leave the classroom. When he didn't, Rand pulled her son in a full Nelson restraining hold assault position out of the classroom. Rand was not arrested, but Newport News police say he has been charged with misdemeanor assault and was Suffolk. 2014, Elizabeth Ferguson arrested in Suffolk on 2 alleged felony charge distribution of heroin. She worked at SP Morton Elementary School. Learned of charges from a background check, said Franklin City Public Schools. Let's see, this is also Suffolk. Virginia high school teacher arrested accused of sexual abuse on a student. Bruce Todd Gidley. Sexual abuse of a student. This is the one I cannot get over. This would be Fairfax. Kylmira Gustav and her assistant Ciclia Benavides were accused of dragging a child from a wheelchair, slapping kids, force-feeding them to a point of choking, and in one case pouring hot sauce in a child's mouth. Accused of abusing will receive no jail time. No jail time. Both women entered Alford pleas in June 2022, reducing felony charges to misdemeanors and recommending no jail time. Can you see our system is broken? 2 Chesapeake mothers say their daughters with special needs were abused by elementary. I did that one in the beginning of this show. Let's see. I'm not even halfway. I'm like a quarter way through the state. I'm going to have to come back and do the big ones later. Mother says substitute teacher put hands on daughter. Aisha Smalls wants nothing more than for her 11-year-old daughter to be happy and healthy. Aisha, let's see. Mommy, we were standing in line about to go to class so we can go to the buses. She grabbed me by my collar and pulled me. She's getting the runaround. I can't do it anymore. That's Norfolk. Norfolk also. She bit him. She slapped him. Virginia teacher accused of using faces charges. Bayview Elementary School. CPS began their investigation. She bit him. She slapped him. She pushed him. She pushed his head into the desk. Slammed him into so many different things. Oh, and then Dunaway played the victim. Norfolk. I don't know if I already did this one or not. Granby High School, 17-year-old being assaulted by their teacher, said Norfolk Police. Okay, so I think I already did that one. Marcia Dunaway appeared in court. There are 2 misdemeanor counts of assault and battery. So it seems that Norfolk has a extreme physical abuse problem. Not saying they don't have a other abuse problem. But like I said, guys, the reason I wanted to do this, because my husband's writing me like, where are you? The kids are downstairs. Is that, so you have to understand in loco parentis. Okay? You have to understand that because they're not the parent, they have no responsibility for what happens to these children. And if they are the parent, then their punishment is that as if a parent were to have sex or sodomize or molest their own child. So you can't have it both ways, especially when they're the mandated reporters on parents. Okay. So there's some paper. So education and honors exploring the practice of in loco parentis in public schools. Okay. Just giving you ideas. Oklahoma State University, a teacher's place in the moral equation in loco parentis. And then, okay, let me save the Looney Tune ones for the end. Melissa Moschella, I've said before, defending the fundamental rights of parents, a response to recent attacks. If you want to learn how to fight. Okay. Melissa Moschella. Defending the fundamental rights, a response to parents, parental attacks. This was an article by R. Scott Clark in 2021, Loco or in Loco Parentis. It explains that she starts out by talking about the Looney Tune, and then the relationship between the child and the parent as a community that then involves the community. But and then this one I actually found funny, but should principals know more law? Because I found it funny because Chesterfield County actually got rid of the requirement that our superintendent actually knows school law. But let's see, I'm trying to give you guys sources. Not crazy pants sources because I'm not even going to get into the corporate ownership portion of the law because I'm going to try to give you guys supportive documents. And then this one, a fundamental case for parental rights. Let's save the crazy pants for next time because I'm going to give you guys these. Let's see. Again, Melissa Moschella, natural law, parental rights, and education policy. If I were to pull one up right now, it would be this one. Okay? Natural law, parental rights, and education policy. Melissa Moschella. Okay? Start with this one. Let's see. UIC Law Review. Spring 1987, the in loco parentis status, unjustifiably broad extension of immunity. But you really need to understand Blackstone's, okay, Blackstone commentary, Blackstone in loco parentis, okay, natural law and the rights of families, okay, Loyola University, 2010, Natural Law and the Rights of Family. This one is great to understand everything that I've been talking about. Brigham Young, BYU, Brigham Young Education Law Journal, 2002. The Duty to Protect, Blackstone's Doctrine of in loco parentis, a lens for viewing sexual abuse of children. See right there? But guys, people ask, why do you know so much? Because I have to. Because I have to make it make sense. And another person, Robert Arauja, he's the one who wrote the Loyola. He wrote Natural Law and the Rights of Family. You'll find, a lot of, but I have to. Because it doesn't make sense to me, and unless we all can talk about what our parental rights are, then let me read to you real quick what is going to be coming at you that you're not going to be able to defend. Let's find one. No, that's a little. This crazy. Jill Filipovic. Parental rights is code for child abuse. Okay. I can't even read this. I think I actually put in my comments. Republican politicians are accusing, this goes into contingencies. I'm not going to talk about her. But it's not stopping because of conservatives who demand that parental rights supersede a child's right to physical safety. I think that's what I put. F you. Parents, of course, have rights. They have the right to make difficult medical decisions for their children. She actually admits that their moral, religious, cultural education, they have broad rights to shape their children's worldviews, or at least try to control where their children will go. This is where the abusive, where the abusers, because we are determining their worldview. And if you can't argue intellectually that, yes, that is my right, natural law as a parent, as I birthed them, gestation does not end when I birthed them, when they came into this world breathing and crying. Okay, this is not the handmaid, is that I then get to direct how my children are educated. Okay, it's not just I feel, okay? This is like the foundation of this nation. Teresa said, public school is a swamp. Absolutely. Absolutely it's a swamp because you have administrators protecting, is that you have so many layers of people protecting people abusing our children. Whether you want to get into education policy, which is every child getting social emotional learning and everybody lying to you about whether you can opt out or not, or the people that are actually physically raping, sexually assaulting our children that are being covered up by school boards and administrators, or being not reported, or when they actually do get to court, they're being found, 20 years, but you have to serve 3 days. There is that broken is beyond, I mean, I don't even know any other, I don't, like, I have a lot of expletives that I could say. What is, this goes back to this lunatic, Jill Filipovic. What is true, though, is the long history of conservatives enabling child abuse by pushing a vision of parental rights that is expansive, radical, anti-child, and dangerous. If anyone is a threat to Americans' kids, it's the Republican Party. That's the narrative that you're going to start hearing more and more and more. And it comes from, as I showed you in the beginning, you need to look up the United Nations Declaration of Child Rights. Okay? That's where this is coming from. Children have the right to be loved by their parent, taken care of, fed, educated. That's what children have the rights to. Children don't have the rights to do whatever they want because they feel like it. Okay? This is where the problem with science comes in, is that the brain cannot process that amount of responsibility, first of all. And then we go back to the educator standpoint of, well, I know what's best for your child. No, you don't, because I know education policy in Virginia better than you do. So that whole narrative of, oh, you have to be qualified. I'm more qualified than anybody because I've done independent research. I've researched this. I haven't been given a manual on how to be a teacher and you have to teach to get here, and if the kids fail, whatever. Everything has to be questioned. But the number one thing that you have to understand is our children are being abused in schools. And the next episode, I will get to the big counties, which are like Fairfax, Loudoun, Prince William, Chesterfield, that are like this thick. And the cover-ups behind them. It is that if we don't start acknowledging this, you know what's best for my children? Okay, Chesterfield County, how about the 8 rapes The 19 physical assaults on children. Okay. You have to be able to, you don't have the right, first of all, because in loco parentis is a actual legal, you did not give it to them. The court did not take it. That's the first thing that you need to understand. And then loco, and if you want it, then that means you are the parent and everything that happens to them falls on you. You can't have it both ways. So, I'm going to post a whole bunch of, if you're in the Virginians for Children's First Facebook group, I can actually upload them into files, and that will help you, but you have to understand the crazy pants dialogue coming out of these people, including homeschool. If you homeschool your kids, you are evil because you're forming their worldviews for them. I'm pretty sure that I live with my parents as a me in a type A household, and they tried to shape my worldviews, and look how well that turned out. Children will be independent if you let them, and so that's just the nature of biology. You can teach them to be polite, you can teach them whatever you want, and you can direct them, is that I'm nothing like my family, but I was instilled with the morals, the respect, even though this part of me, I don't know where it came from, but is that the overall, I will be who I am, but to direct a child's actual foundation of how to be a good human, it will always, is that unless the tiny, minute cases of abusive parents, because we're all abusive to them, then you have to be able to know this stuff that I just went through. No, we're not. Are there hundreds and hundreds of charges being filed against parents raping their children? Child porn? No, there's not. It's the teachers. So you have to know this stuff. And on that, I'm going to go before my husband and my kids flip out. But I'll see you guys again, maybe in 2 days.